How you going, guys, and welcome to the channel. So in this one we're going to be making up some radius edge wheel tubs for my tubbed HZ Holden, so we can fit these big old 32550s underneath the bum and got some nice custom tubs for it. So I'm going to be hammer forming those tubs, and obviously I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to do that. So make sure you stick around, guys, and watch the video, and yeah, hope you enjoy it. Cheers. Alrighty, another morning. I always like to start off the videos when I'm half asleep. But anyway, this is where I'm at on the what do you call it? Hammer form. That's the one. So what this is, just a bit of 17mm hardwood, so ply, this shit. Basically I've got that cut out, still need to do a little bit more trimming on it. Obviously this is my template here, and basically what I did was, because this is the long side tab, this is the side that I'm going to match the passenger side too. What I did was I made up a template just of from this part here, which if you've been watching my my mini tub rail notch videos, you would probably remember that I did mention that there was a reason why I was going to leave this lip on the inner structure there. So that was the reason why I did that, just so I could get a good template from it. Now when I say good template, I mean it wasn't great. It's a little bit hard to sort of get it accurately because it does sort of curve a little bit. So I have sort of just eyeballed it in some spots, which not ideal, but hey, it is what it is. The reason why I'm going this way and not going like a prefabricated tub like I was planned, the tubs that I was going to use, you can't get them at the moment, so it's a bit of a pain in the ass. But hey, that's the world that we're living in, so just got to deal with it. So yeah, this is what I've got already. Like I said, got to do a little bit more trimming on it. Probably won't do a whole lot of filming of that because it's just boring stuff. And then I'm going to start putting in a radius like this. So see how that's got a nice little radius on it. Probably put a little bit more in it. And then I'll start making the top piece, which I can then bolt it all down and sandwich my metal in there. So yeah, stick around and hopefully we can get this one whipped out. Alrighty, so I've just been sort of tickling away at this one. I've got it to fit inside the hole. There's a little bit of a gap just there, but I'm not going to be too worried about that because I figured, because I've left this lip on there, if there's something that's sort of a little bit irregular, when I chop this lip off and actually fit the proper tub, I can sort of just bend that lip straight or leave a few mil on it and then bend it straight, and then that'll give me a nice fit up through there. And yeah, it'll all be welded up through around that, so I'm not really too stressed about that. Because yeah, the aim of the plan is to get sort of this part here welded to obviously the flat part of the tub. Obviously that's not going to go there, that's going to be sitting on top of the rail, somewhere around here. But yeah, I'm 95% happy with all of that. Hopefully it shouldn't look too out of place in there once it's all made out of metal, but that's that one. Anyway, I'll quickly whip this out and I'll tell you guys about the next process that I'm going to do. So excuse the mess, but now that it's out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start rounding this off, because obviously I can't leave that square as it is. So I'm going to put like a bit of a radius in that. I'm going to put it on both sides because I plan on using this for the driver's side and the passenger side. That way they're both symmetrical, and you know, saves me cutting up and fitting cutting up and getting all of this to fit the passenger side, which is a shorter wheel tub. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I've tried to sort of get this lip as square as I can. I'll probably need to take a little bit more off that if anything, but like I said, if the fitment's not 100% right, I'm not going to get too worried about it. As long as it doesn't look too out of place, I'll be pretty happy with that. So yeah, basically what I'll just be doing is just get me flap disc. I don't own a router or anything like that, so just using an old worn out flap disc. That one's probably due for a changeover. It's pretty clogged up. They're not designed for wood, but I'm just kind of using what I've got on hand. So yeah, I'll whip that one out. Hopefully, maybe. Alright, so it's not perfect at this stage, but what I basically did was I've drawn 2 lines on the edge of the wood, and basically I just ground it down sort of on a little bit of an angle, just until I sort of get to the texture line. And what I'll do is after that is I'm going to get my DA with a bit of 40 grit on it. And I'm just going to start rounding that off, and then hopefully that should give me like a rolled edge through that. So yeah, it's a little bit blocky at the moment, but it's all in the process of working with what I got. So that's where I'm at, and in just a jiffy, hopefully that should be rounded. Alright, hopefully you can hear me over that rain. I've got this top piece cut out. Now I've made it a little bit smaller than the actual shape that I'm wanting to form. And the reason behind that is because I need to have enough room to be able to swing a hammer in there, and I don't want to interfere with that. Obviously if this is up here, well, it's going to get in the way, and I don't want to chip this or anything. So make that a little bit smaller than the base one, the shape that I want to form. And now what I've just done is I've marked out where I want to put my bolts, because this is all going to be bolted down. So basically nothing moves, nothing can shift. And basically what that is going to do is that's going to trap all the metal that I don't want to move from these points here. Now I'm not too worried about these ones down here, because this is going to get chopped off anyway, but I'm going to leave that on there just to, you know, just make it a little bit easier for myself. A little bit less cutting on the template, or on the hammer form section that I'm making. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, like I said, just focusing on this area, making sure I can bolt that down all nice. And yeah, that shouldn't move any of this metal, because the idea of all of this is so none of this moves. All I want to do is make this radius over the panel. That's all I want to do. So yeah. Alright, so I've got all the holes all drilled out. So now I can chuck all my bolts in, obviously once I've got a bit of steel in there. I might make mention of that the process that I did this in was I screwed it all down, then I took out a few screws, drilled the holes out to the size of the bolts, put the bolts in, tightened them up, and then took the remaining screws out. So everything has stayed in the same spot, like it hasn't moved a bit. So yeah. Now I can pull this apart and I will cut my steel out. So yeah, thankfully no more mucking around with the wood, which I'm really happy about. I don't really like playing around with wood, so yeah, much more comfortable with steel, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. Alrighty, so I've got my bit of metal all prepped up. That's all ready to go. All I need to do to it is I need to drill through these holes here, which is obviously where I'm going to bolt it all up together. I'll go through them with a 1/8 drill bit first, and then I'll go up and do a slightly larger hole in the bit of tin, or in the bit of metal. That's 1.6 mil steel, by the way. I don't know if what that is in gauge for my American viewers, but I think it might be 14 gauge. Not sure. Doesn't really matter anyway. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. So I'm going to go drill all of those holes and hopefully we can bolt this thing up. Alrighty, so we're all bolted up. Now comes the scary part of hammering this over this lip here. Not this one back here, because then it'll be wrong. I need it this side. So not quite sure how I'm going to actually position this, because obviously I'm just one person. I'm thinking I'll probably lay it down this way and maybe clamp it to this bit of wood as well, which is on a trestle, which is pretty solid. And then, yeah, I'll start hammering this lip over. So, yeah, hopefully it doesn't break. Shouldn't, but it might. Who knows? Yeah, only one way to find out. Alright, so I've been whacking away at that for a good while now. It's starting to get somewhere. You might notice it's not perfect by any means. I actually have to take it off the whatchamacallit, the kajigger, and I'm going to hammer and dolly those out, because what's actually happening is this is actually now too low and I need to stretch that back out so I can then bring this back in. So it's a bit of fiddling around with that sort of stuff, but I just thought I'd explain that why I'm going to pull this apart again. And I'll straighten this back out again, and then I'm going to refit it back to the kajigger, and then yeah, we'll go again for another round, I suppose. Alright, so it might not look like much, but I've actually done a fair bit of work at the moment. I realised once I'd taken it out of the thingamajig, I always keep on forgetting what it's called. Anyway, took it out and I've started to smooth out some of this stuff, which I've got that really nice now, but the problem I've got is, and I've already started playing around with it, but it's got a bit of a bow in it, so what I'm going to have to do is, I've already been shrinking it. I found stretching it would then raise this up, so I've got to shrink it to sort of bring that curve out of it. But I just thought I'd show you guys that. I'm still working my way around. So this side still needs a fair bit more work. Probably needs just a little bit more to sort of bring up through there, because another thing that I look at is this was reasonably straight before, so if I can get that straight again, more or less like how this side is. So you look at all of this, and that's, you know, reasonably straight. Not perfect, because you got to remember I've, you know, hit it by hand with hand tools, and obviously I also cut it with an angle grinder, so it's always going to have a bit of ups and downs in it. But it's reasonably straight, which is another good indication as to why it fits all nice in through here. But we'll move this for you. I think that's the right way around. But yeah, as you can see, fits really nice up against that. So yeah, that worked out really well. I think should be able to get another wheel tub out of these. Yeah, just thought I'd show you guys that anyway. Alrighty, so I've cut that out. That all sits on the rail all nice. Needs to do a little bit more trimming and it needs to come down in height, but hey, it sits on the rail, so I'd sort of got a rough idea of where I actually want to place it. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut my length of steel, so the width. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to butt weld it to this joint here, which is why I was sort of getting a bit anal about it, trying to make this flat. So I've got a nice, nice joint on it. And to do that, I'm going to need to use this fella. So I've just got this one out of storage. Haven't got a whole lot of use on it. It's an old thing. It's a bit difficult to use, but hey, it does the job. I'm going to have to do my wheel tub in 2 pieces. Reason being is I don't want to go out and buy a whole nother sheet of 1.6 steel, because this is 1500. So from this point to this point, it's 1500 mil. And I've only got 1200 sheets, so I'm going to have to add 300 mil in, probably to the back, because at the end of the day I'm going to put a safety belt plate so nothing pulls through at the front. So I kind of don't really want to have another butt joint up through here, so I'm going to put it at the back. I'll just have to make sure I make it all nice and pretty, so yeah, when it goes with the Raptor liner or whatever I put over the top of it, it all blends in nicely without any filler work. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. Probably won't happen today, but it's ready for me in the morning. Okay, so I've got that piece all cut out. So this is going to be joined to this part, but obviously I have to put a curve into this with the slip roller. Now I'm not going to show that because I'm not real confident with using the slip roller, and it might take me a few goes to actually get it right, so I'm not going to show it. If I was probably a little bit better and a little bit quicker at it, I probably would, but I don't really think it's going to add much benefit to the actual, to the, whatchamacallit, what am I doing here? The video. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do. And again, this is going to be butt welded to this piece. What you could do, if you wanted to, I've seen a few other people do it, is you could put a lap line under this, and so you could make that top bit sort of step down a little bit, and you could sit this on top of it, and you can plug weld it all the way across there, but that'll give you a lap line, which, I mean, yeah, that's fine. That's, you can seam seal that. Perfectly fine in this, you know, in that sort of scenario. You could do that, like I was saying, but I'm going to butt weld this one, so it's trying to get that fitment as good as I can. But yeah, without getting ahead of ourselves, I'll run through the fitment process with you later on. So yeah, stick around. Alright, I got a bit of shape rolled into that bit of 1.6 there. I've tried to match it up the best I can with the rolled edge that I did on the inner half, so on this bit. But because this is not perfectly round, I've matched it to the factory shape of the original tub, which is why I had a little bit of trouble trying to match these up. So there is a little bit of a gap, but I figure by the time I start tacking it in, I'll be able to sort of manipulate this bit of sheet and I'll be able to make it form and, you know, match up the to that rolled edge really nicely. So I'm not really too worried about that. I'm pretty happy with everything. There is a few little, I don't know what you'd even call them, like just sort of like almost track marks from the slip roller, but I think the worst one's probably here at the front of the tub, which will get covered, you know, by the back seat and stuff like that once that's all refitted. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be putting a textured coat on both sides of this sheet, so it's not really going to stand out a whole lot. So yeah, it's just one of those things, you know, working with what you've got. You know, it's not always going to be perfect. If I had probably more expensive machinery and, you know, maybe a little bit more knowledge on using these sort of tools, I'd probably get it a little bit better. But hey, at the end of the day, I'm just using cheap stuff and I'm giving it a crack myself, which, you know, isn't that what it's all about? So yeah, anyway, I'm going to probably do a little bit more trimming, and I'll probably try and get this stuff to match up at a butt weld, and then yeah, hopefully get all this tacked together. Alrighty, there we have it. That's the tub, all pieced together, ready to be welded out. Really happy with how this one's come around. All the joints are pretty nice, apart from there's one little spot, but hey, that's fine. We're just going to be making this one on anyway, so not going to get too worried about that. I think for a first attempt, this one looks pretty good anyway, with the nice rolled edge on the side. It's a bit hesitant to be doing them like this, but hey, I reckon that's come out looking not too bad. Alright, so that's a wrap up for this one, guys. Hope you've enjoyed watching me fab up these radius edge wheel tubs using the hammer form technique. It's not something that I've done a whole lot of. In fact, it was actually my first attempt, as you've probably seen on the title of the video. But hey, it's all a learning curve. I couldn't get the radius edge tubs that I wanted to fit into this car in an appropriate time frame, so I thought, you know what, just bugger it, I'll try and learn something new. And yeah, I'll make my own basically from scratch. So yeah, all of this sort of cost me, I think the steel was about 140 bucks, and I think this bit of wood here was around 100 bucks. So, you know, for, I don't know, let's just say 300 bucks, because obviously fuel costs money, and you know, I've got to get this shit home. So yeah, 300 bucks, and I got these wheel tubs out of it, and I've learnt myself a new sort of skill. Not that these are perfect, like I said, but hey, it's a new skill nonetheless. Yeah, nothing really much else I can say about it. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, cheers.